For this video, we are continuing our expedition run. We're 2 games in, we've got 2 wins. We're just gonna keep playing. Hopefully we get to the beautiful 7-win mark. If you want to check out the other games or the draft, and this is the first video of the series you're stumbling on, you can check my channel. I go through the draft process, I explain all the picks that were made up to this point, and we're gonna share all of the games, win or lose, in this process. Now, this particular game could be a bit of an issue. I think we are going to replace this, but keep the others. And I say it could be because anytime you see Fiora and Shen in limited, that could be a handful. And we don't have a lot of hard removal for dealing with Fiora, so. Alright, they're gonna go with a lookout, and we have to make a decision now. We could play this Moose, which would allow us to then bounce it with the Conspirator later, but I think we want to play the Blade Twirler.
Think you're fast? Cute.
Because on the following turn we're likely playing this, but turn 4 we could go Moose into Conspirator, and that would also count as a recall for buffing this. And I think we're okay with it. Just blocking, getting the 1 damage on the 1/4. Because then later on, if this does have the 3 attack with quick attack, that means it trades into it. And not much of our game plan has really changed here. The pickup of the duo. We play our elusive unit because we want to be able to attack with that. There's kind of no point in swinging into this with our Blade Twirler. Now we do also have the option, when we play this, we do have the option of bouncing this. It's a little less mana efficient, but we could develop the duo and this, bouncing this back, and that would also allow us to draw another card. So they're going to give something in their hand barrier, which we have to assume is a Fiora. And now that might change things a wee bit. I mean, we have this to protect whatever it is that she challenges. We do also have this. This is the most likely one because it means we can still develop something for 2. So if that's going to be the case, we want it to be this.
I will put you down. Try me.
Alright, and we want to obviously protect our health. And we're going to let that 2 damage go through. Alright, a lot of neat tricks that we can do potentially pre-combat here.
Give me a sweet bun. Heightens the senses.
So we're going to go ahead and we're going to buff this, and then we're likely also going to just bounce this back at this point. But we want to play things ahead of time so we can maximize our elusive attack damage. We could also cycle this now to give this barrier, but I'm not really seeing a lot of benefit to that game plan, so...
Looking for a daring escape.
There was also an option at some point there to maybe go with a Sown Seeds. Alright, so they've played a 2/3 elusive, which does potentially slow down our game plan because we don't have the mana to protect what we would like to protect. So in this instance, I think that the proper course of action is probably just swing with this. That at least threatens here. And we're going to pass. We want to keep this overflow. We don't want to develop these. Honestly, getting Inspiring Mentor triggering, and this is not a big deal anyway. But we want the spell mana to carry over because, again, they're going to challenge her with Fiora in all likelihood. Even if they don't have a barrier effect, they'll likely pull this because they want to make this trade and also to protect this. So we're going to need to have Spirit's Refuge ready to go. It's getting very cold in my office as I film this. I turned on a space heater, but it hasn't kicked in, so I'm over here shivering. So if it sounds like I'm losing my mind or I look like a chihuahua on a windy day over here, it's because I am very cold. So they play yet another challenger. And we only have one combat trick right now. So for now, we're just gonna, I guess, kind of stall.
For each crab I saw today.
Harry, report. Hard, fair.
For the honor of House En Garde.
All right, so this is a moderately annoying development, simply because we can only protect one, and we still don't trade with either unit. But if we're gonna only protect one, this one makes more sense, just because it's the more resilient one, even though this one is potentially more damage long term. I think we go ahead and we opt to protect this one. And I think we let the rest go for now. There is an argument to be made about maybe we chump block this here, but... And I think we're gonna cycle this. We also have that Sown Seeds, which is really nice on Zed, but we'd like to hit a little bit more. Yeah, getting something like that is a lot more value. And we're not gonna open next round with an open attack. We're gonna want to at least play the Zed before we go in, so...
We swim within the flows of magic.
This one's gonna be a tight game. We are a bit behind just because of their challenger units. These units are very, very powerful and limited, so... We're gonna catch the buff and develop the Zed.
Fear the shrouded path.
I walk your path alone.
And then we also have to decide here if we want to do a bait and switch on the Kinku, which is a potential here. Now we do run the risk of running into like barriered units and things like that, but we're gonna go ahead and do this. So the idea is if they Kinku here, and we fully expect them to, then we can shadow shift our unit. The Shadow Shift replaces this with a 3-2, which would potentially trade with the Kinku. It also returns this to our hand, so then when we play it, we get another card draw, which is very, very important.
I sense fear.
Uh-oh. So when you see this, that says, okay, they might have a combat trick coming our way. And there it is.
Counter and strike.
Not on my watch.
Sacrificial Lamb just to keep our Zed from leveling up. Now we're probably still going to take this play here, because protecting this unit is important. And while it's not the same as bouncing this to get that card draw, it's still relatively important because we can use it for rebouncing Mentor that can buff the Highwayman, and then the Highwayman will make 2 3/3s, just like as an example play. The biggest issue we have this next round is the open attack. So
Flavor and spice.
we have to expect that our Zed is probably going to bite it, just because they've got the Fiora. And it wouldn't shock me if they try to take out this Blade Twirler with this as well.
The advantage is mine.
You call this a fight? Aha!
Yep, there it is. And again, we have no way to stop it, unfortunately. We were kind of hoping
Let them
to
eat swords.
draw something.
Try me.
Oh, alright. That's very interesting. One just completely
Sweep them
telegraphs
away.
a combat trick.
Eat up, friend.
So we are at a bit of a risk in trying to put our Zed here, but getting rid of that's kind of important. We really wanted to save this because that was our ideal bounce. This Dawn and Dusk has the potential to be so good with Zed next turn, so I really don't want to risk it. I think we would rather just take the 6 here. It's a very frustrating play because you would love to do more there, but we really
A gift from the river folk.
are trying to set ourselves up for just a more meaningful
There's always a way out.
play. So at 14 we're kind of close. Like this represents 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 if we go full elusive. But playing it on the Zed means we're more likely to get a bunch of value trades on their board. So Dawn and Dusk we're going to try to pull off on Zed next turn, assuming they don't have an answer for Zed here. There's a lot of stuff that we might be running into, like Judgment, for example, because they're on
My
Demacia.
life for the order.
Like there's entirely a chance, right? Like if they have Fiora and they've drafted Judgment and we Dawn and Dusk Zed and swing, they could just win the game. But there's like nothing we can do about that except for pray that we draw a deny. And as much as I've been talking up Dawn and Dusk, next turn it actually might be Yusari just to sacrifice into this, but we'll see. Alright, so they take the cycle. And another cycle, they're just gonna hit everything up. I mean, I know we have the Highwayman, but I kind of want to carry over the 3 spell mana. And we're not going to attack with the Highwayman stuff next turn anyway, because if we Dawn and Dusk this, it's literally all you attack with are your Zeds, because every Zed will make a clone as well. So I think we take the pass here. They have a full board, and they have more cards in hand than we do. So here's where you just kind of hope they don't have answers. Because otherwise we're gonna have a bad time. Sequencing matters. So yeah, if they have a Judgment because we didn't top deck Deny, then it has the potential to be bad, but we did top deck Will. So if they block with Fiora and they try to the Judgment, we can just bounce Fiora. But this is a nice Dawn and Dusk. Pretty scary because you don't want to lose a bunch of your units to like Zeds that are gonna die at the end of the turn, but you also are at 14 health, so you can't really afford to not lose a bunch of your units. This is hopefully where we catch up in terms of tempo and like board value, things like that.
Eyes open.
Precision and grace.
Alright, so we're gonna end up bouncing there Fiora anyway, because not only do we want our
Glory!
Zed to survive, but we don't want to get her leveling up.
I am not afraid.
Oh, that's actually a really good round by them. Because they're gonna gain a bunch of health here. But we wanna keep our Zed alive, so. We bounce Fiora, we take out 2 units, and we made him use a back-to-back. Like, overall, probably a pretty good turn still.
Injustice.
We didn't exactly get to wipe out the units we wanted, and we have to expect Fiora's just gonna come down here. And then we're also just right back to not being able to protect our Zed, but we forced him to use resources, so.
Toll collector.
They're doing a great job of trying to keep their Fiora alive. Dancing around it. The life gain they got from buffing the Life Blade was very significant as well. That's a pretty good pickup for them. I think we're going to do this on our Yusari.
You'll soon understand.
So again, at some point, this is going to be probably trying to get rid of Fiora, but it also might be trying to hit some of these. I think we just pass because we kind of have to. Our board is full for the moment. So we didn't quite close the gap. Challenger units still a problem. This is one of the reasons why I like drafting Demacia, and I talked about that a bit during the video where I did my draft, but Challenger units are so strong. Being able to dictate how you trade, what units block where, it's a very powerful ability, and in limited environments it's kind of crucial in many ways. Oh wow, okay. That is amazing for them. Not so much for us.
Strike for the balance.
For the honor of House Laurent.
Feel the sizzle!
So I think that this is just naturally going to try to eat our Zed. Like, it has to. Which is a bummer because we have 0 way to stop it. That eating the 3-2 there, not a surprise. Yep. None of what they are doing there are surprises to me whatsoever. So we'll block there to try to get this in, but we can't block the elusives. And we're going to lose ours, so. This is a shame all around for us, and very good for them. Their Life Blade keeping them very much in this, as we are still unable to find our own.
Goosefall will mark my passage.
We're going to develop our Yusari and our Moose as we look to open attack and counter them. We gotta really pray that they don't have something that boosts. Alright, so sequencing matters here. We're not going to send the Highwaymen, I don't think. Yeah, let's send it, because I don't think that they're going to end up blocking that. But we gotta really hope they don't have something that boosts her attack here. Or another barrier effect.
You cannot escape.
Okay. So we're gonna gain some health.
Protect House Laurent.
Get some damage in. But they're gonna counter again. They got a fistful of cards still. is the biggest issue. So they're going to counter by
I want
playing
the space between worlds.
some powerful units. Hold on. We got to make sure we're getting the right one. So we're going to bounce this back.
Whew.
Shen is pretty powerful for them because they can continue barrier protecting this. We'd like to find our own life blades, and they have another one. All right, so I mean we have two ourselves, but we need to survive theirs and then find our own. That's probably not a good sign. They've made a copy of something. So it's whatever these two cards are once we see one come down. Alright, so it's a caretaker. So it's
Our lands need us.
gonna be another caretaker. And they're gonna look with Shen to just kind of permanently scale these in a bit of a crazy capacity.
We each defend.
Which is a shame because that means we're almost assuredly going to have to use our Yusari for dealing with their Shen.
I go unseen.
Like there's just not much else that we can really do about that.
Enforce equilibrium.
Because these are also going to get buffed again when they attack with the Shen.
So
I'm not sure we're going to be able to come back from this. Our opponent just had a lot of really good value from the challengers.
I go unseen.
Yeah, this is going to be close. So like Yusari has to answer the Shen. We just really don't have much of a choice. And we're probably just going to have to not take 12 damage, but we're still taking 8. They're gaining 4, so they're going to still be at full. We're going to drop to 5, and we're nowhere at all closer to getting this board under control. So I don't see how we're going to be able to win this one effectively. This actually might have been maybe our worst matchup as far as like an expedition run goes, simply because they've got a fair number of elusive units to block ours, while also having challenger units to get those value trades into ours. So
Walk softly, strike quickly. I sense fear.
I mean, there's really no reason for them to even take this block. This is entirely a bait. With 2 units here with lifesteal, going under 20 is not a big deal at all. Like if I was this opponent, I would not take this block at all. I would just let it through. There we go. They know what's up. And then I think we're just dead. We can effectively block their 2 biggest
Making
units.
the dead deader.
I mean, we can take this Shadow Shift now and then replay this, which would give me 1 extra body next turn, which is not great, right? We would have 3 potential blockers. We could block here, here, and here, but that's still 8 unanswered on the board. So we would also have to find something off the top that would be some sort of like fast effect response. So, I mean, this is still our only path to not dying, so you have to make this play. But our chances right now are like in the 1% range. We are not in a good spot. Now, we could have potentially waited and tried to do that next turn, but with a board like this, there's zero reason for them to not open with an attack. So we need to maximize potential blockers and have the top deck of our life here. And that is not it. That is not it. So we are probably going to be taking our first L in this run. And when I say probably, I mean we are absolutely taking our first L. So like we'll block like this, but even if we had blocked, again, their 3 biggest, right? We're still taking 8. So that is a great example of a deck that would give ours a bit of trouble. That's also a great insight for the ladder. If you're struggling with playing against the elusive decks that are running around in Constructed, Challenger units are your friend. They're just so good against that matchup. All right, so we get our option for a potential trade here. We have Deny for another Yusari, a Shadow Shift for a Protector, or our Moose for another combat trick. Moose for another combat trick is pretty tempting because we're pretty low in this regard. I wish it wasn't Moose. If I'm being entirely honest, I wish it was something like Key Guardian here. That's a card that I would love to sub out at some point. Jeweled Protector has the potential to be kind of a bomb for us later on, but I think we're going to go ahead and make this as our trade. And now we are in must-win territory. So if you don't know how the expeditions work, you play basically until you either get 7 wins or you get 2 losses in a row, with the exception being this last round. When you hit 6 wins, your last game is sudden death, win or lose. So up until that point, if you lose once, you're just kind of like in the danger zone. And we are in the danger zone right now. Ooh. Alright, we really need to rely on our elusives early on because that is all late game that you're staring at. This is going to be kind of like a control list. And we're only going to keep the Mentor. We're going to keep this and hope we find elusives to pair with it. This could end up being a pretty good finisher. I say could because the problem is against Freljord you have to worry about frostbite effects. Right? So like this can get answered pretty easily by like a Harsh Winds. But we are absolutely trying to race the health totals here. If we had a Conspirator or something, I'd consider not attacking just to guarantee play it next turn, but since we don't in hand and we have a second one, we'll just let that one go. Of course. Of course they got the elusive Poro. Right when we like need to bank on our elusives to get as much value as possible. That's the Poro that they got. Fair enough. I think the longer this game goes, though, the more it favors our opponent for sure. We do not have great ways, for example, to deal with Anivia. I'm also gonna just take this open attack because if they give us this 1/1 Poro here, then that's a win for us. We don't want to give them the option of playing a blocker before this comes down because, like, if Braum comes down, then we get no damage in. I mean, theoretically, we could maybe get 1 damage in, but we're just helping Braum with a play like that. Alright, so they've got another Poro. We're gonna play our Awakener here. It does not match up well, but it's still developing. And we already kind of know what our game plan is, which is really trying to jam this Lifeblade down their throat as much as humanly possible. With these particular colors, the thing we're most worried about would be things like bounce. Now, I wanted to develop this just for like the immediate counterattack, but I think instead what we're actually going to do is we're going to go ahead and block here and take the Shadow Shift, because not only does it let us replay the Mentor, but it also potentially trades with the Poro, because we're going to be making a 3/2 unit to take its place. And the higher we buff this in attack, the more impactful Dawn and Dusk will be on subsequent turns.
Give me a sweet bun. Heightens the senses.
Because again, like this is, as of right now, our only win condition. Our end-all, be-all win condition. So we shall see how this goes. Bjerg, obviously not something we want to see, because that means that they're getting card advantage and they're drawing powerful units. Conspirator here is juicy, but at this point, like, we got to get this show rolling as fast as possible. So we're gonna play this, hope they don't have immediate answers, and then start threatening with that. Probably bank this as spell mana, and then next turn we'll consider bouncing
Bring
here.
me the calm of an ice-shrouded world.
Alright, so that's obviously going to be a thorn in our side for quite a bit, because we don't have good hard removal options for that. And so we're actually going to have to figure out a way. Alright, so the Will of Ionia is a great setup plan. We also would just like to get something to be higher health. Alright, the 7/6 is kind of a
Time for a leap of faith.
big unit. And we're going to have to make the decision of whether or not we want to bounce this now, because that puts him behind a little, or save the bounce for the Shaman, so that we can attack with this next turn. Because we would take 7. But we would potentially be 1 off lethal if we resolve Dawn and Dusk, and they don't have combat tricks to shut us down. And on the following turn, we'll even have enough to back up our Dawn and Dusk play with a deny. So I think we actually let this go. And bounce this. This is a bit of a risky play, though. I'm not gonna lie. Because again, they totally could have something, for example, like a Harsh Winds here, which makes us not nearly as interesting. They could also just Frostbite this now with the regular Frostbite, and then we'll make 2 0/5s. This is really us saying, I hope you don't have a fast effect answer, because we probably lose otherwise. And the other worst part is that you might be saying, like, well, you have the deny, but all of the Frostbite effects are burst speed. So Harsh Winds, the Frostbite, that's 3 mana. You can't stop them with deny. Alright, so successful in that regard. This might be like an avalanche, yeah. I was just thinking it slows us down pretty effectively. This is probably worth our deny, since we can't deny this effect later. We can't deny the Frostbite effects, so we'd like to try to protect these. I mean, this deny is probably worth it simply because it's giving them a 2-for-1 while not losing any units on their end. So again, there's a frostbite effect and it's burst speed, much like we were talking about. Nothing we can do. But we can hopefully at least get 15 damage in. Gets them down low. They don't have enough mana to play this turn. Oh, but they do have another elusive unit as a potential blocker, so things are getting interesting. So we found our own elusive unit as well. I expect this to come down because they want to be able to shut this down and have a blocker for this. Like that's the game plan.
My training is unconventional.
Interesting that they're not even going to attack
Order
with this.
rewards its faithful.
And a life blade. And a life blade. Now we could have played this at any point. Like when we had these two, it might have been worth it, but again, here we just let this through. 7's a lot of damage, but we don't want to like risk anything else that's going on with our board, so we let it resolve, and then we're just going to hope that we've got enough elusive here. This gets hit, but we open attack and have the 3 units to their 1. So frostbite effect, you know, harsh winds, etc. keeps them alive for a turn. And there's the harsh winds.
It's too late for you.
All battling followers get ephemeral. Alright. That's pretty annoying. Like, that's actually fantastic for them. So we needed them to not have a fast effect, and they had 2. Oh boy. Shaman is still going to be a problem. Though, next turn, interestingly enough, it's actually going to be hitting this and not our life blade. Because once we hit Enlightened, this will have +4/+4. So while this is bad for us, it's not the end of the world. Gotta look at the bright side here.
Sends chills up my spine.
So this got hit just because order of events, like start of the round triggers and then you gain your mana, so it's down this round, so then we have this. This actually might end up saving us because if they have a frostbite effect, actually they don't even it. They're going to try to use this to eat this. So we can either give ourselves the barrier or we can give it the pass here. It'll probably be the barrier. No, it won't be the barrier because that would still kill it. So we'll have to buff its attack here. And hope they don't have a second frostbite effect.
Fresh tracks.
That's going to eat our 1/1. I think we're fine with that. Would have liked to have maybe also drawn a unit, even though this is going to keep our elusive unit alive. Uh-oh. They actually might just be trying to push for lethal here, which means we're going to have to do some math. We might actually have to block this with this. And then also barrier that. Just to not die.
Tell me where to aim. Look out there!
Alright, so this raises this up. We'll go to 18. Potentially take damage. I'm trying to figure out actually the right way to do this, but I want to get rid of this unit, so I think it still is here. We just net take 10 damage because of overhealing. So from like a Nexus health standpoint, it's not correct to do this, but from a like getting rid of the 7/6 monstrosity, it's probably correct to do it this way.
My wisdom is now my strength.
So here we just again hope they don't have fast effects, because this is going to frostbite this now that we're enlightened. And while we do have this, you take the open attack and pray they don't have yet another frostbite effect. And they didn't. Wow, that one was tight. That one was a bit close. But we knew what our game plan was. We knew we had to get a lot of damage in. If they would have had, you know, like the harsh winds available when we played our Dawn and Dusk, we probably just lose that game, but sometimes you have to take a gamble. And that's it for this video. 2 games, 1-1. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and make our pick real quick. And I think it's going to be a pretty fast choice, because giving ourselves a 3rd Zed when we have all the hand buff options seems like it's going to be the way to go. Not a big fan of a second one of these, though, when I'm already trying to get rid of the first. So, like, cards I'm looking to actively trade out of my deck are this Wayfinder and probably this Key Guardian. There is an argument to be made about this. These are all solid picks as well. Right? So it's really... what it comes down to is Zephyr Sage is definitely better than Wayfinder. I mean, just no question about it. It's definitely better than Wayfinder. But I think that Zed is that much better than Shen. For at least for us right now, that we still take this. So we'll make this pick. And now this is where this video will end. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. If it's your first time watching me, consider subscribing. You know, if it's like your 10th time, but you've just never hit the button, do it. It's free. It's not costing you anything, but it boosts my ego, so I appreciate it. But anyway, thanks, and hopefully I will catch you watching videos in the future.